Hello everyone, welcome to the market internal review for October 2nd, 2023. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with SPY. Very small gap, just a hair under $1 on the day. And of course, this is the first trading session for October. We also started it off with JPOW. And mostly today was a lot of divergence between the different indices. SPY and Q seem to be somewhat leading a buy signal, while Dow and certainly Russ were leading a sell-off. The composite index really didn't seem to care what SPY or Q was doing. As you can see over here, we basically spent the entire day after we lost previous day low, right at the open effectively. We spent the rest of the time rejecting TWAP every time we reached it, right there until the end, which I will cover in a little bit more depth towards the end of this video. So for SPY, we oscillated, had a little bit of what's called a broadening formation. One thing to see here is a very strong rejection right at that hour flip at 11:30 at previous TWAP, so Friday's TWAP price, and the high of this candle was 428.6, and I think that was correct. Yeah, 428.6, and previous TWAP was 428.59, I think. So pretty cool to see that that accuracy. But yeah, we went right back through the daily gap. We did a break and retest of first standard deviation high. Now the first deviation was quite tight, but that trade right there, just a scalp effectively of a little less than a buck. Now you hit that in about 10 minutes time, and of course if you held for say previous day low or some other logical runner target like this TWAP level, you could have had up to a $2 move there, so not too bad at all. So to open the day too, you see the New York Stock exchanges, just bear across the board. Price and volume were already heavy on the low end. Mercy is even kind of showing you that we're definitely on the bottom half, and we're already trending down towards the very low here on the RSI. Now with all this chop, it definitely was muddy. Definitely very quick movements. This is a micro scalper's kind of paradise. But then once we get to this drop here is where we see the first strong bull tick of the day, right at that almost near that hour flip. We even managed to flip the trend here on New York Stock Exchange price, not volume, not until that bull tick peak, which you never want to buy something like that, save for some very, very specific instances, but I'm not going to go into those here. We get that Mercy flip down, and all this bear tick starts coming in. We got 7 different bear tick closure extremes as we hit the bottom of this broadening formation. We hit this TWAP price here, just a lot of confluence, and that's also right where we start to see potentially an oversold market. And we do see a bounce, but we could not break previous day low on SPY. We tried it a handful of times all day. We did continue to make new lows here, another oversold signal. That resulted in another bounce, and we just slammed up against the daily gap low point here once we did rip through previous day low, only to reject it hard again and come all the way back down to the low a day. Now, technically, we did not make a new low past 1250. So we get that 1250 low, and we were able to keep that for the rest of the day, even though the composite indexes are all bearish across the board, trend and location. Notice the tick closures here. I think only save for this instance here and then this instance here right at that 1:30 time frame. The only time we had average closures of tick being over 0. The rest of the day it's under. So today was certainly more of a shorts day. Going and reviewing VIX, you can take a look here and see VIX cramming up against that 18 and a half, not able to break through. We ended the day under 18. But let's go look at add here. So add showing up here. We open up at almost negative 1,000. We do pop into this gap, and then we finally sell off hard. We're already almost at that negative 1,500 price I like to see for a bear trending day by 10 o'clock. That's a little late for a trending day, but it can still happen. But it doesn't ultimately manifest. We chop around. We do finally break down into the strong sell zone on the add by not quite by noon, and we stay in there for the rest of the day. The volume, let's see here. Apologies for all this flipping around. The volume, however, a little bit different story. So by 10:30 almost, we've broken into extreme selling volume area, and certainly by 11:30 we're already well in there, and just immense selling volume for the New York Composite. And I mean, that value there, we haven't seen. We've got it here almost. We hit it here on September 21st. Definitely hit it here. So a couple things to note when you see this kind of volume. Notice the volume the next day is definitely popped up. September 21st, if we go, so here's September 21st, and we had that volume. We did see a little bit of a buy. We gapped down and saw a little bit of a buy again. But definitely when you see that kind of volume, sometimes I like to consider a pop-up in the next day. So we did somewhat receive that, but it was only after a gap down. So looking at this volume, it does make me think that with the way the indices ripped and seeing that volume continuing to go down, it does have me considering the potential for maybe a gap tomorrow towards the upside. But there's definitely a handful of things in front of us that's going to make that pretty much very challenging, I think. But towards the very end of the day, Qs also ripped like the rest of the market did. They didn't quite come up to previous day high in the morning, almost before noon. They did a fake break of a monthly TWAP level. Now, since we've done a monthly flip, all of these TWAP levels are now from the September month. So we break over that, reject previous day high, and come right back down. Notice, though, that we kept this daily gap every time. I mean, this was essentially a mid-gap wick test here, and here. So every time, and we did not make a new high, but we certainly closed higher up. If you go look at Dow, though, it's a little bit of a different story. We lost the daily gap definitely by noon, continued to make new lows until about that noon time frame. And we did come back up into some intermediate highs, but certainly not high of day and certainly not above the gap. So Dow still struggling to hold its price, but Russ here is the one that's really been dragging us down. It looks almost exactly like the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index. And every time we hit TWAP, is just another rejection opportunity for shorts. And then ultimately that buy at the end of the day, we did not really see anything too spectacular from Russ. So this is where I kind of say, like, the volume being so bearish, but SPY and Qs are, on the rise. It makes me think that perhaps we could have a little bit of a relief gap type bounce, but it's mixed right now with these indices doing what they're doing irrespective of each other. Growth is still slammed down at the lows. All of the spiders, save for, I believe that's the tech spider, that one came up some today, and XLC, communication. So a couple things came up, but the majority of them are still heading down per RSI anyways. It's not an exact science by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see energy, immense volume, 25 mil, not quite the volume we saw in SPY last week at 83 mil, still above the average. Finance, 50 mil, so a little bit more of a distribution of volume now, like XLUs at 55 million. So a little bit more distributed, I think, from what we have been seeing, where it's a lot of low value or low volume across the board, save for one or two spiders, and now it seems like maybe the market is trying to decide where to protect its money. But notice we did save the monthly trend line that I have had for many videos now. I had to extend it on the daily chart anyways. I could do it on monthly, but we've hit it once, twice, almost three times there, definitely three times here. And we did technically have a bullish close on the day. We're still under 10, still under 20, but we are above 200. So again, if you watch my video Sunday regarding last week, Friday, and kind of what I'm expecting this week, I'm expecting a little bit more chop as we start the month out, and maybe start dragging these simple moving averages around like the kind of looks like a snake tongue actually, but just effectively trying to sort some things out. I'm not expecting a huge rip or dip from here. I think it's going to be, again, kind of like what I said in the last video. It's going to probably look a little bit more like this until we really pick a side here. I could really see it going either direction. The only thing that gives me potential upside bias, if I even had a bias, would just be the fact that per some of the standard metrics I use, we are at a potential low exhaustion point. So in theory, we could see some buying, but I guess stay tuned. I don't know what JPOW or any of the other Fed speakers, I think there was either 3 or 4 Fed speakers today. I don't know what any of them had said. Jerome, yeah, okay, so Powell was at 11, and they don't have any notes. They don't have any notes here or anything. So the next day, so we have another speaker at 8 in the morning, Red Book, a couple of other things, but I'm not really seeing much. Some Treasury, that's not U.S. markets. Mortgage information coming out on the 4th. That could have a very slight amount of impact. Employment stuff could definitely impact. Another Fed speaker on the 4th. So just lots of Fed speaking going on this week, it seems like. It's very interesting. Another Fed speech here on the 4th. Just quite a lot. I don't really see much else. Oh, no. Okay, the 5th. Jobless claims. That can definitely have high impact. I know they say medium impact, but I've seen it move things around a lot more than medium. Mortgage rates. More Fed speeches. So this whole week actually might just be a complete boring kind of week, which would align with exactly what I said, where we're in this spot that is just going to consolidate. I'm not looking too hard here, but I don't see anything in the earnings that really strikes me as something that could move the market. Certainly no tech or anything that I can see. So that pretty much is going to wrap it up, folks. I'm just going to play it each day at a time. I'm kind of neutral on a lot of my holdings and just doing a mix of a little bit of directional with this 10-20 cross down, but I'm going light because we're at lows. So that's pretty much what I have. Hope you did all right today. Keep in mind this volume, and hang out on Twitter or X with me if you'd like. And thanks for watching. Happy trading.